All right, guys. So this training is titled Paid Media Secrets: How to Maximize Your Profits. And what we're going to cover in this session is how to get traffic, uh, fixed cost paid media, continuation of our first session, and then what to do from a best practice standpoint to convert as much of it into an ROI as you possibly can. So what I'm going to do is basically share with you guys all the things that have worked the best for me. So I'll just do a really quick rehash of where we started. In the first session, what we spoke about was lead conversion. And we talked about different types of traffic. We got paid and free, right? And if we want to create a stable, sustainable business, then paid traffic is really the better direction to walk down because we have more control there. And within paid traffic, we have two types of traffic, right? We have what's called fixed cost traffic, and we have what's called performance-based media traffic. Pay-per-click marketing is performance-based. Email, exclusive, personalized, dedicated emails, what some people might call a solo ad, that's what I would deem a fixed cost ad, meaning you pay money and whatever happens, happens. In our business, we focus on fixed cost media because there's a lot more we can do there. One thing that I didn't mention in the last session was with fixed cost media, you have the opportunity to far more often work directly with the source of that traffic than you do with performance-based media. In other words, when you go to a website like Facebook and you pay for some ads, you're never going to talk to the guy that owns Facebook. It's just not going to happen, right? And so therefore, your control in the scenario isn't as high. What happened a long time ago to a lot of people, including yours truly, is I leveraged a website called Google and their pay-per-click platform called AdWords pretty heavily. And we did really well with it. But one day Google said, we don't want to do business with you anymore. And there went all of Deagan's traffic and a lot of people's traffic. And subsequently, as a consequence, a lot of people went out of business, and it really changed the landscape of our world. And so that is a huge risk to me. I don't like that when that happens. Again, I like sustainability. I want to be in business for the longest period of time possible because it's fun. And when I can't connect with the source of the traffic, then I feel a little bit like, well, I don't know how long I can do this for. And so with fixed cost media, you can go to a website, you can buy a banner, and you can buy it directly from the guy that owns that website, right? You can go to entrepreneurs, and I always spell it wrong, entrepreneur journey, I think it is. And they'll probably tell me, yeah, entrepreneur's journey. And you can go directly to, Yarrow, Starex blog here, and you can right here buy a little banner ad, and you're buying it directly from the guy, right? That feels good. You can also hit Yarrow up and you can say things like, hey, what about if I sent an email to your list? Would you let me do that if I paid you? He might say yes, he might say no, but again, you're going directly to the source. And that's a far better, more stable scenario to work from. In the end, business is relationships, and relationships occur between people. And when people work from a platform that is a big conglomerate or big ass company like Facebook, you're not really working with people. You're working with employees, or even worse, just some software. And that don't feel good long term. And so I'm just emphasizing this because it's important. Now, the other thing I want to emphasize as we dig in here, even before we really dig in here, is that when you go directly to the source, there's more than one opportunity. I know that what I'm going to be focusing on here today is email advertising and how to find great lists that you can tap into. You know how to write the ad copy and all of that, and how to convert maximally. So we're going to focus on how to convert into sales maximally. But there's so much more. Like I just showed you here, there's banner advertising opportunity. There's text link opportunities. There's, autoresponder email message opportunities. Hey, can you put this in your autoresponder and I'll pay you X per click? There's thank you page opportunities. There's exit pop-up opportunities. There's so much more you can do when you work in a fixed cost world that you can control and you can build and leverage and scale stably on, that I really think it's the smartest choice. And so that's a fuller explanation of why I work in that world. And that's the only world I really care about working within. As you guys know, I own a company called the Home Business Agency. And one thing I wanted to show you guys, let's see if I can pull this up. I mean, every single day, and this is only representative about maybe a little bit less than half of our traffic, we have thousands of clicks that we're delivering to our publishers, to our advertisers. And so all day, every day, we're working in this direct response media world. And so this fixed cost direct response media world. And so this is something that not only that we spend a lot on, focus on for everything that we do in our own business, right? So it's something that we dig into and we are really, really big into. So with that said, here's the next piece of that. The next thing that I want to just make sure that I cover here really quick is, in terms of our review, let's go back. If we want to get the maximum amount of traffic, if we want to get the maximum amount of clicks and then conversions, then we have to think about only three things. If we're talking about email, we need to think about the subject line. Well, actually four things. The from line as well. The from, who the email is from. If we can change that, that will dramatically change how much traffic we can get. The from line, the subject line, the email copy in the email, the body of the email, and then the landing page. The more congruency we can build between those things, the more of our traffic is going to turn into leads. And after this training, the more of those leads are going to turn into potential sales, just based on what we know. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything. I don't by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just going to be focusing on what I know that's worked for us. And that's pretty much the best that I can do. The last thing I can think to just bring up as a little highlight from our original training is, remember, when you're creating a landing page, you have to think about this psychology. You have to think about your potential subscriber, the person that's viewing that page, as a thirsty deer. And the thirsty deer knows there's water close, but he's not going to go get that water unless everything's cool. The one thing I didn't mention that I want to make sure that I do mention to you about that particular analogy is that, to the degree that the deer is thirsty, that dictates how likely that deer is to go and drink. Okay? To the degree that deer is thirsty, that will dictate how likely the deer is to go and drink. Same thing with your prospects. In our analogy, though, what we're working with instead of thirst is curiosity. So the more curiosity that you can add to your landing page in the form of the headline here, the more likely they are to opt in, and the higher your lead conversion will be. So with that quick review done, let's dig into this bad boy. So, how do we find potential traffic? Let's write that down. How do we find Well, the first question I want to bring up, and the first topic I want to bring up as we approach that question, is the topic of responsiveness. We approach and then deal with that question, is the idea of responsiveness and what it really is. In an ideal world, what we want to do is target the most responsive prospects possible for the least amount of cost possible so that we have the highest ROI possible. So in searching out potential places to get traffic, understanding this idea of responsiveness is really key to our success, right? Because if we search blind to if we're actually looking for where there might be high response, then we're wasting a lot of time. So what really is responsiveness? It's a very simple thing, and I didn't get it for many, many years. So that's why I'm covering this, because these are like big epiphanies for me. I would go to websites that would say things like, we have the most hyper-responsive leads in the world, and they're red hot, they're blue, white flame responsive guys. They tried to throw us their credit cards and wire us all the money in their bank account. But we said, no, we want to make sure that our customer gets that lead. So we stopped taking that money ourselves, and we're going to give you that guy as a prospect. These guys are so red hot, you wouldn't believe it, right? And I used to fall for that and just believe. But then one day I asked myself, well, what does responsiveness really mean? And here's what I figured out. What responsiveness means literally is how much that prospect thinks about their problem or their desire in the niche you're working in. The more your potential prospect is thinking about the thing that you can help them with or the thing you can help them achieve, the more likely they are to do business with you. Makes sense. I am an extremely responsive prospect when we put things through that filter, because all I do all day is I think about crazy marketing stuff. I showed you guys earlier. I've got all these weird flip charts and all these weird 25-page things that I write because I'm trying to get better. And at the same time, I'm out here buying all sorts of crazy stuff to learn and get a slight edge. I want to be that slight edge. I want to be a little bit better than the next guy. In order to do that, I got to spend some money to acquire other people's experiences. And so where's the best intersection to find people like that? Right? Where's the best intersection? It's a good question. Well, I'm a buyer, and if you're a buyer, you should think about what you do, right? If you buy a bunch of stuff, what do you do all day? Well, I'm always out there searching for things. I'm also on a lot of people's mailing lists, and I'll check into those emails from those people that I know and trust. And if they say something cool, I might read it and buy it. There's always probably 14 to 30 different things that I'm thinking about potentially buying at any given time. Like, I've got a long list right now we won't get into. So if we can think about where you spend the most of your time, if you're responsive like me and you spend out the Yahoo to learn all this crazy stuff, halfway because you're addicted, halfway because you're trying to get better, halfway just because like you find it fun, or a third of the way if we want to, because we can't have three halves, right? Then you should look at yourself first. Just look in the mirror and say, what the heck do I do all day? And then what you do is you reverse engineer that process, right? So you look in your email inbox. Let me go to mine. And in that email inbox, you say, well, you know, what were the last 5 things that I bought? Maybe you pull up a receipt report and you say, what were the last 5 things that I bought? And you say, well, why did I buy those things? And you say, well, look, I think I bought the first one because I was on this guy's newsletter. I think I bought the second thing because someone else who was on the guy's newsletter was on the newsletter with me, And he's a friend. He said, did you check that thing out? And then I did check it out and I went and bought it. But I don't remember very likely, I don't remember myself ever really buying much from, I mean, this is just me. So I'm not the whole world, but I'm just doing this whole process as I'm kind of instructing you to do it. I don't ever really remember going to a Facebook ad, seeing something and being like, oh, that's the thing I need to buy. I just don't. Maybe it's happened once, maybe it's happened twice, but it's very, very unlikely compared to the number of things that I buy because either someone tells me that I know and trust, or I'm on a newsletter from someone that I know and trust, and I want to see what they're digging into. Okay? These things are very important to know and to realize and be aware of and be conscious of and be awake to, because that's where all the other really responsive prospects are. Now, I'm not saying this is the whole world, right? There's probably people that also frequent certain blogs, right? And they read them religiously, or certain websites that they read religiously. But go through this process. Ask your own prospects this process, especially the people that have purchased things from you, and you'll end up with a pretty clear idea of where all these people are. And for me, the resounding sort of moment clarity, just the sky's open and God speaks directly into your soul with the answer, is the most responsive guys are on other people's lists. The most responsive prospects are on other people's lists. That's the answer. Or at least that's the answer that I found in my experience. And so then the game becomes, how can I get those guys on my list? Now, and when we ask that question, we come up with things like, well, we could have them become an affiliate partner for our thing, and then they could do a mailing for our offer. That's awesome, but it's fallible in that, number one, you might not have something that everybody in the world wants to promote. I might not, right? And number two, sender of said email who could promote your thing probably has 5,000 other people saying the same thing. Hey man, can you push my thing? And there's only so much stuff you can push. I mean, I got like 5 guys right now that want me to promote their event or whatever it is, and I just don't feel like it when it comes down to it. It's just not what I want to do. It's not my prerogative. But to them, it would be a great way for them to get my best prospects. But here's what's really interesting and a little bit ironic about it. If they were to approach me as a person in this example of where a certain subset or segment of responsive prospects live within my list, and they said, instead of Deagan, hey, I got this deal, will you promote it for me? If you get sales, I will give you money. Which is, and this is me just kind of spouting off at the mouth because I truly do believe this, I think is totally insane in terms of a proposition. Think about this. Who has the valuable asset? The guy with the product or the guy with the list? The guy with the list, right? Because contingent on what the guy with the list does the revenue and profits come or come not? But here comes the guy with the product that says, hey, send me traffic, and if my stuff converts after I get paid, then I'll pay you. People fall for this. They do it every day. But when you think about it in this context, it's like being bamboozled, in a sense, because you're leveraging all your power and control in the relationship to someone who really has no stake in the game. You've got nothing really to gain. They've got everything to gain. If you send an email, you've taken your time and I'm speaking from the publisher standpoint, this is important because it's going to play into something here. You've taken your time and you thought through some promotional thing to promote some other person in the right way and in an ethical way, because you believe in things. You have to bring yourself to a level of belief. And then if that thing doesn't convert, you've got nothing to show for it. But on the flip side, that other guy has a whole bunch more exposure, probably a bunch of leads, and a far higher level of edification because of the association. So if this is how people that have lists think, you have to cater to them, I think, a little bit. And so here's the irony, guys, is that if that's very same person that came to me and said, Deagan, will you promote my deal because we're friends? And I'm like, nah, not really. I'll maybe because I feel guilty and I think I should be nice, or like I really do think it's cool and I want to, but I haven't, all of that. But if they said to me, hey, Deagan, I've got something that I really want to get out into the marketplace. Here's the deal. I want to send you $10,000 to get some exposure with your newsletter. If after that $10,000, there's still profit left over, we'll split that 50-50. How does that work? I'll wire you the money right now. Much more likely to say yes to that deal. Much more likely to say yes to that deal. Right? Whole point of this is money talks. Money talks when we're talking to the publisher. And if you understand this psychology, because people still don't do it. People are all day trying to nickel and dime. And this is the last thing I'll say on this before I move into the strategery of it. But this mindset is very, very important. All day long, people are coming at me saying, hey, will you promote my thing? And I'm like, well, we have an in-house newsletter. You can buy an ad. It's $10,000. And then they go away. But they'll come back again the next week and they'll say, hey, we want you to promote this thing. Well, you can. Just it's $10,000 and it works in a really fair way. The money's going to come back to you if it converts like you say it does. And you just send us some money and we'll do it. And they go away, right? Well, if you take this other approach of, hey, let me send you some money and let's make this happen. Do you think that you're going to get farther in the world of getting traffic than the guy who wants to get you for free and on the performance that his offer performs so that you get conversions and create sales for him? Right? The money talks. So let me, again, this is a point of emphasis, so I'm coming to it. Which approach is going to work? Let me know what you guys think. Which approach is going to get you farther? The first one or the second one? Now, if you guys give me an answer, and I'll come back to that, you'll have an idea for why my head works the way that it does and why everything that we're going to go through today in this session is as such. If I lead with money first, guess what? I got to be a good marketer. I got to make sure that I can convert. So that means it makes me more on my own ball. I can't take this laissez-faire attitude of, oh, let me just find some stuff that converts and send it out and life will be grand. No, I got to do what converts. I got to make that money back. Right? So it makes me have to be a better marketer. It makes me be more accountable. And I'm going to get to work with a lot more people. So how do you find them? How do you find them? That's where we are right now. Let me see what your responses are. All right, we only got one. Guys, give me some feedback on that. I really do want to get some feedback on that one question. So we'll come back to it. I'll look to keep you honest. I'll look back in here to keep you honest in a minute. How do you find people? All paths lead back to good old Google. Since 2005, my first and primary method for finding fresh new partners that I may or may not know about yet is to go to websites like Google and search for online marketing newsletter, home business newsletter. If you're doing network marketing newsletter, affiliate marketing newsletter, all these different things, and then I'll just kind of see what I find. Everybody's got their price, right? If I come to this blog and I see, oh man, it's the copy blogger. This blog looks awesome. This guy's got a huge community. Look at all those tweets. Look at all those Facebook likes. Look at all those Google One pluses, whatever those are. And I don't see necessarily on this website a link that says advertise with us. So what? So what? I do see a link that says contact us. And so what's to stop me from writing this guy an email, right? And saying, hey, can I buy some traffic from you? Can I buy a sidebar link from you? If he's a good entrepreneur, he'll respond back, and either he's got some sort of ethical code that prohibits him from doing that, or it's just not part of his business model. But if he wants to make money, if he's a good marketer, he'll respond back and say, here's our prices, or here's what we can do. Here's what we can't do. Here's what we can do. But at least the conversation has begun. And so the first step in this process is to go to good old Google and search. Step number 1. Step number 2, you just saw me do it. Contact. Contact that potential partner. And there's no magic, there's no science other than good old human communication, reaching out. I'd rather call the guy if there was a phone number here than send an email. But that's what you do. Hey, I really love your blog. I'd like to know if I could get some exposure from it. How much would it cost to put a banner on that bad boy? What about an email to the list of subscribers you have? What about us? I'd pay you to do a webinar. Could we do a webinar? Maybe, there's all these questions you can ask that they might say yes to one of them. So if you have a list of them, your probability of getting yeses that other people wouldn't because they didn't ask is a whole lot higher, right? So what are all the ways that you can do business? So let's list those out. You can buy an email. You can buy an email sponsorship. You can buy a banner ad. You can buy a text link. You can buy an exit pop-up. You can buy a sponsored webinar. And that one's pretty awesome because when you think about this, if you go to a partner and you say, hey, I'd love to do a webinar with you, before we even do it, I'd like to send you $5,000. And I'm speaking big money. Now, if we're talking to the top of market, these are the numbers we're talking about. But understand there's levels way below, right? There's guys you can get for $100. There's guys you can get for $500. There's guys you can get for $1,000. And there's guys you can get that are going to cost a little bit more. So don't think by me saying these numbers that excludes you from the opportunity. of the strategies that I'm sharing. There are opportunities at every level. You can do a sponsored webinar. So yeah, like I said, if you go to someone, you say, hey, I'll do this. I'd love to do a webinar with you. Before we do it though, can I just send you $5,000? Because I want to make sure you get paid regardless of what happens. Man, that's a pretty cool, that's a pretty cool proposition. Now we're talking real and serious marketing, right? What else we got here? So we have autoresponder emails, customer sequence emails, blog posts, syndicated content, and there's probably more that I'm not thinking about. There's probably more than I'm not thinking about here. But if you were to write an email to someone that looked like they might be a good fit for your market, and you said something like, hey, I really like what you do and I'd love to do business with you. Could I send you some money to potentially do a dedicated email? Or if or maybe an email sponsorship in a newsletter that you send out regularly, or a banner ad on your website, or a text link somewhere, or even an exit pop. Do you ever do webinars? I've got a webinar that absolutely crushes it. But I'd love to pay you just to do it. The content's awesome. Your subscribers will love it, but I want to pay you up front. So you're paid regardless. What about your email sequence? Could we do something on a monthly basis where I could pop an email in your sequence? What about a blog post? What about syndicated content? The list goes on and on and on. And what will likely happen for you with this type of thinking is you might get a bite on something that you didn't think you could. They might say, I don't really want to do all this, but I will give you an exit pop. Well, you got your way in. And guess what? Once you start sending the guy money or the gal money, might they be more likely to open up some of these other options with you, right? So when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm not talking about nothing from no simple, basic AB 1, 2, 3. This is the real world. This is how it goes. This is how you win. I'm giving you how to win. And so these are some of the things you can ask for. So what I would do if, let's say I like this site, Copyblogger. If I wanted to shortcut my path, I would go to the website called alexa.com. I would pop in my link right there. And then I would get the details. And I would say, whoa, this is a really good site. I really want to be on it. It looks like they're ranked 811 in the United States. Most of my customers are from the United States. So this would be a really great place for me to target. 811 means there's only 810 sites in the United States that get more traffic than this one. And it looks like this guy's had a huge spike in traffic. So something really good must have happened for him, probably from an SEO perspective. So it gives you that general information. But more importantly, what I like sites like Alexa for is you can go to them and you can see, what are related sites? Teaching sells. What's this all about? Oh, wow. So there's this other business that I wouldn't even have known about, that I wouldn't have found in Google because they're not related in that scenario, but they are related. What's this SEO book about, right? Right? Oh, what's this site all about? Maybe I could get some traffic there. And then what else? What else could we find? I'll go back. Let's go back to here. Oh, what's this ProBlogger.net site? Oh, look, that one's getting a lot more traffic too. What's this site all about? All right. Now, here's what's pretty cool. You can see this guy's got some banners. It looks like it's only his own stuff. So, but he might be open. You never know. You never know until you ask. And so what I would do and what I would advise you to do is I would advise you to compile a list of sites that look good. Okay? So find sites that look good, meaning they don't look made by, like they're not on free platforms or not really weird and awkward looking. And from those sites, what I would do is I would subscribe to the newsletter. Okay. The next what I would do is if I would maybe set a filter in my email account, or I would create a new Gmail account so that I would get all these newsletters so I could see what sort of content this publisher is sending out to their subscriber base. And if the content is good, then I would then approach the publisher, the person that owns that site or that newsletter or whatever it is. And I would basically propose what I just shared with you. Hey, can I buy some traffic from you? All right. All the sites that don't fit this criteria, which will be most of them, they're not cool, they're not good, just discard. Okay? After you opt in and you're on their list and it looks like they don't have a good relationship, they're weirdos or whatever, and all they're doing is promote, discard. Only contact the people that you think are doing a good job in their business. Some might say yes, some might say no. But by volume, just like regular direct response marketing, if all you need is 1 out of 100 people that view your site to say yes to an offer for you to get extremely wealthy. Well, take that same approach here. All you need is a few to say yes. But if you're the guy aggressively fishing where the other guy isn't, well, you're going to win. You're going to win. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else that I missed here just in terms of the filtering process. Here's the last piece I'll say here, is in terms of sending the email, some people will send an email back and respond, some don't. What you do, here's a cool tip. Don't stop communicating with them. If you compile a list of potential best partners, best websites to purchase traffic from, and they don't respond, well, keep that list and then go back to them every other week or something and just say, hey, can you do business now? And keep doing that until they either say yes or they say, please stop asking me because I really don't want to do business with you. Be kind and professional about it. But just because they didn't respond or say yes once doesn't mean that they won't. So the guy that really wins is a guy or gal, I'm just a guy, so that's why I use that word, that is just relentless with their follow-up. This goes to what you do once you get the lead and what you do to get the traffic that gets the lead. Be relentless. Don't stop. If it's a really good partner, contact them on many different levels. Go hard or go home. All right, so that is a huge tip. That took me years to learn. A lot of times, and if you listen to any of my past trainings, you probably would have heard me say that what you want to do is you want to just contact them, and if they don't respond, then consider them dead weight. Well, that's a lot of waste. And I wish I hadn't had that attitude for so long. I probably could have been doing more. But I am, we learn as we learn. I try to bring you to where I am, so that you get the best of a shortcut that I can possibly provide for you. So, what do we do once a publisher says yes? Okay, we can do an email ad. Well, remember, we have our ad copy. Let me say this. Also, if they say yes, send an email that gives them your ad copy. All right? Along with giving them their ad copy and giving them your ad copy, you want to ask them, do you think this will work with your list? That's a hugely important question. And let me put a little asterisk by it, because if they come back and say, people have tried things like this in the past and it didn't really go so well, they might have just saved you some money. So you want to ask so you can, again, filter them out. If you ask those questions and everything is all good, then you send them money. They set a date for your ad to run. You track your results and what works, repeat. Okay, so let's talk about tracking here real quick. I want to go in here to my old ad tracker, because this is the one that I really have the most active data in. There's one that's older than that. Actually, there's two that are older than this that have data in, but I kind of lost access to them. I do this because I want you guys to see just kind of the history. I mean, if we look in here, you'll see that there's like a lot of stuff in here, and this isn't even what we use currently today. We have other tracking program sources that we use that we just use them now because specifically we need them to do some of the things that we need to do. But you can see that I practice what I preach, and sometimes ads go well and sometimes they don't. This was a banner ad on a website called Rents. We could actually go there. I haven't been there in years. Let's see what it's all about. There we go. You can see this website has some ads on it. And there we go. Click here. This ad space is available. And this website, I like that ad. I'm going to actually save that. Whenever you see an ad that you like, save it. That gets your attention. In fact, I'll save that one too. But I really like that one with the alien. That definitely catches your attention. Whenever you see a website like this, you might want to go through and just see what's being advertised, what the topic is. Because essentially what you want to do, if you want to do space ads on a website, is you want your ad to speak the language of that website's audience, but be a bridge to what you do. So for me to directly advertise, let's say, maximum leverage on this website, hey, come here, learn how to get a bunch of leads and make some money, might not be the best approach. Oh, here we go. We got an internet marketing one right here. Haha. And wouldn't you know, there we go. Right? And so you follow the path. Now, what do? Remember what I shared with you guys. We went to a little website called Alexa. You want to find sites like this? Go to Alexa, get the details for that site, and then you go down to the related sites, and you look for what's like it. And now you've gone from one to many. But the purpose of me pulling up stats is just to show you that for every ad we place, we track our results. So you have to get familiar with ad tracking. You have to get familiar with ad tracking. That's just how I'm going to say it. And for this ad, I did a year-long banner on this website. Got me 4,000 clicks, almost 600 leads, 17 sales. But at this stage in my business, now if I went back to this website, I'd be able to pretty much crush it. I can guarantee you that. Which, note to self, I will. At this stage in my business, I didn't have the marketing backend to support this. So I had to say, this is not a winner. All right, let me go back to the drawing board. Now, it probably was closer to a winner than we're seeing right here. And the reason it was probably closer to a winner is because these were all continuity sales, but in tracking, nothing's ever perfect. So I can't see the recurring income that came in. But for each one of these 17 sales, I knew on average that my guys would stick at $40 a month for about 1.8 months. So just under 2 months. So really, if I look at this number, it's 17 times about 65, which is getting it a lot closer to even. than what we're actually seeing. So you have to take these numbers. I know what they mean more so than you will because I know what I was promoting. And you'll have that same relationship with your own stats once you get into the fine art and habit of ad tracking. You can see CPA networks that we did this with, different newsletter ads that we did this with, self-growth. This is back in the day. We haven't mailed them in a while. 18,000 clicks, 700 leads, 33 sales. Not bad. We probably did break even over time. We made back $1,800 on $2,900 spend. In our business, I'll share this with you because I'm sure people are wondering. If I get 50% or better, then I'm going to go and take another stab at a test in terms of profitability. It's an absolute slam dunk win to me if I get back to even on that ad. But I know that from a long-term lifetime value perspective of these customers, if I can get halfway there over time, I'm going to get all the way there. My stats might not show it in this scenario, but my overall business will. So that's just a word from the mouth. You set that criteria for you though, okay? You set the criteria and you say to yourself, what do I feel comfortable with? With this in mind, you say to yourself, with this understanding, which is breaking even is awesome. If you're setting the standard that you need to be 200%, 100% in profit for you to go back and replace that ad, in the real world that we're working in terms of marketing, you're not going to find many places that you're going to be able to work with. If you're setting the criteria conservatively that break even is your sort of make or break point, okay, that's fine. And if that's it, what you'll typically find is about 1 out of 5 ads will get you there if you've got the proper marketing in place. And that's what we'll get to in the second half of this here training. And so to create tracking, let me go here. All you do is you create a tracking link. This is our test. And we actually have a platform that we created. It's called Easy Tracker Pro, but it doesn't have as much info in here, but it's much nicer looking. You can see all sorts of cool graphics, and so this is the one that I would say to use because it's the one that we created. So that you're not confused, I'm using this one because this is where I have a lot of data, so I can show you real-time stuff. This is our test for EMP. Guys, put a little description in there. Bada bing, bada boom. How much did the campaign cost? If this is a fixed cost world, we're most likely working on a fixed cost scenario. So maybe it costs $100. We put in our landing page links. On the flip side of this, what we do is we make sure that we place the cookies that are necessary after opt-in. So on our thank you page after opt-in and after our sales transaction, so we can track leads and sales, and you can see the numbers that I can see inside of my tracking platform. So if everything's good, I click create new campaign, and then this is the link that I use for tracking. Okay. This is the link that I use for tracking. All right. Now, those pixels that I shared with you, so you either need to know a little bit of HTML or you need to, find someone that does know it and can do this for you. This is where those are. Let's call this lead. So we'll click action and we'll say lead, and the value of this lead is 0.00. We just want to see that transaction. This is the code. So I would take this code and I'd put this on my thank you page code. I'll put this on my thank you page. Okay. So thank you page after the sale code. All we do is we go through that process all over again. So if we click sale And all tracking platforms work very similarly in this way, so it won't be much different whatever you choose to use. Let's call this ML sale, maximum leverage sale. That's the name of my business. And then we put in the value of that sale is $197. Okay, or maybe it's it's whatever it is. We create the pixel, and then we place that. Very important that you do not do any paid advertising if you're not willing to commit to the habit of tracking, because that's called insanity and that's called flying blind. You're literally like a guy bumping around in a dark room looking for a pizza that is fresh amongst thousands of pizzas that have food poisoning and have been sitting there and are moldy. If you're in the dark, you might not be able to tell the difference. Tracking is that flashlight that lets you survive and not get food poisoning and have a bad day. So you gotta track. And it's very simple to do. People think it's complicated because we just tend to, anything new, we don't want to put anything new in our head. Oh man, this is something else I got to do. Just know anything I'm telling you is important. I'm not teaching you or telling you to do anything that isn't important. I'm only teaching you to do the things that matter. So do them. I know that was a lot. And so actually, this is always fun. I'm going to stop for questions in just a moment, and then we're going to dig into conversion of said traffic. Value of free traffic. I mean, this is when I used to do a bunch of article marketing. 7,000 clicks, 1,400 leads, 76 sales, $4,000 value. Average sale value, $62. Not bad. Free traffic has its value. Like I said, all traffic has its value. But I can't control it. I wish I could control that and have that coming all day, every day. I'd pay for it. Newsletter. This is excuse me, a newsletter that I ran. This is a banner ad that I ran. This is another banner ad. This is a free traffic exchange. Look at this. Traffic swarm, 60,000 clicks, 1,454 leads, 47 sales. What do you know? Free traffic and a traffic exchange, actually there's a little bit of money there. And there's a little bit more because of what I explained about what's going on in my own business. Here goes another one. Newsmax, 26,000 clicks, 2,400 leads, 73 sales. This is my dollar amount. This is how much I spent. It was a loser, but remember what I said. For me now, that's not a loser. Back then, I had to get close to break even or I wasn't safe. For now, I'd be fine to test again and make it work. So it is just your level of proficiency once you get there. So you can see there's all sorts of cool stuff. And again, like this is like a cool, fun science lab. So the goal is to build the most profitable business that you possibly can so you can play the most. Because if I can lose $100,000 per month and still win big, that's a fun playground. And so in order to do that, you got to build a business that can support that. Okay. Here's what you do when you find a winner. And then I'll stop for questions. What you do when you find a winner, what I like to do is you negotiate a long-term deal. And so that's what we do every day. I told you guys about the home business agency. All the things I've just shared with you, I just want to emphasize, this is the filter we put all the traffic through before we deliver any of that traffic to our client. So all day we're testing a lot of stuff. And then the stuff that works, we're going back and we're doing this negotiation step and we're bringing back that traffic to our client. So it means that at the end of the day, for our home business agency clients, what happens is we end up eliminating a huge portion of the risk, because if we've already eliminated what hasn't worked for us, then we've eliminated a great portion of what might not work for other people in the same niche. it's no guarantee. I can't say that what worked for us, you'll see the same numbers, but there's a far higher probability that you will see success. And so I say that to say that, we're kind of a shortcut if you want to get quality traffic within the niche, not selling what we do, but just telling you what we do if you want to make use of it. So what you do is you go back and you negotiate a deal. And the way that you do that is you say, that ad worked well. Let's say it was $100. That ad worked pretty well. And you wouldn't say to the publisher that, oh my gosh, I crushed it. I made $4,000 off that $100 ad. If you did, you would play it couth. You play it cool, and you say, it went all right. And then you say, what if we set up something longer term so this is easier for both of us? If we could have that banner run for the next, and it just depends on your budget and your own sort of, I don't call it risk tolerance because none of this has to do with real risk, but your propensity to extend your resources to build your business and scale faster. For me, I would say, hey, what if we just set this up for the next 6 months or even a year? If I did that, what sort of a price break could we do? I mean, could we do $800 or $900 or something like that? And most of the time, I'll get a yes. Because money now is more important than potential money later. And so for you, as the strategic entrepreneur, when you do that, what happens is you just increase your ROI and increase your probability of being profitable. Let's take the example of if you were a marketer and you had an ad that was slightly, maybe almost profitable. Let's see if we can find one of those. That wasn't even close. Let's see if we can find something that's close. That's not that close. That's not close. Let's find. They're probably up closer. Oh yeah, that wasn't even. All right, well let's take one of these. Let's take one that actually is profitable. So here's a newsletter that we sent out to 120 subscribers. Not huge in terms of results. 77 clicks, 43 leads. That would be a stinker, but we did get 11 sales out of it for $1,400. So that's, even though lead flow's low, money's better than leads. So those are the right leads, right? What we want to do from there is we want that to happen ongoing. So here goes that ProBlogger website also that we just were looking at a little bit ago. So I would go back to this publisher and I would say, that traffic worked pretty good. Because the traffic was so low, I might say, can we do this for 3 months as opposed to extending it for a full year or 6 months? And what if we could do 3 months for $1,000 or $1,200? Would that work? Yeah, it'll work, is what they'll say. And most of the time. And now I've just built in additional profit margin. So from that $500 ad, it's now a $400 ad. And if things remain consistent, then I made $1,000 that next month and $1,000 the month after. And so I put more money back into my pocket. Okay. So that's why we go back and negotiate long term, because we can get price breaks for it. And because of that, we increase our ROI and profit margin. And we live a happy, free, successful life. So let me come in here and see if we have any questions, because I know I went through a lot, and I want to make sure that if there are questions, we can address them. Any questions on finding and getting traffic? So I'll give you guys a couple minutes, and then we're going to transition to converting traffic into dollars. All right, guys, so come on in here and let me know if you guys got any questions. If you don't have a question, just say no questions or click the like button. But I just want to make sure because we went through a lot. Look at these guys asking. So AJ, I'm not going to answer that question because that's so not important to the conversation. And I know it's coming from the mindset of like, man, all right, I'm gonna go to the free traffic exchange because that's the least risk, and I want to make that work. And I'm not. That's not even close to the mindset I want to be working in right now with you. So I'm gonna respectfully decline to answer that question unless you can convince me that it's coming from a different place. Are OTO banner ads still viable? So tell me what you mean by an OTO banner ad. I've never done such a thing. So I don't know. I didn't know they were viable, and I've never really used that term. I'll click refresh here, and I'll give you guys a couple moments to give me some feedback, and then we'll just keep it going. Oh, so Scott, I've never done an OTO banner like that. I would never sell an OTO banner on my actual OTO sequence after a purchase, just on a personal level. I don't think that I would do that. On the thank you page, let's say after someone opts in and we consider that thank you page an OTO page where we make a special offer. Let me say it to you like this. If people will sell you that real estate, get it. Because I'm thinking to myself, that real estate after sale, I wouldn't sell. Of course, on a thank you page, that's absolutely so. Thank you page after opt-in, clearly still viable because, marketing and human nature hasn't changed. So, yeah, I would say still viable in that scenario. Still viable in both. Cool. So Alexander has a question here. Have you tested sponsored blog posts? And is there a specific copywriting strategy specifically for paid blog posts? What's paid blog posts have I? I've done a couple, but that's not really been something that's been a huge traffic driver focus for me. And I think because of those few that I did, they weren't really all that exciting. I just didn't focus there. So I don't have much feedback other than that on that. Trying to think. Yeah, that's the answer that I would give you. Reflexively, I can say this. If you can become a syndicated columnist or author for a blog or a newsletter, and you can finagle that for free, you won't get a ton of traffic, but it's a place where you will get some of the highest quality traffic because you're creating valuable content for a newsletter that people look forward to. So therefore, you are doubly an authority. And those people that will click in your resource box to find out for you more about you may not get a lot of clicks for that, but they convert really well. So I wish I had more, Alexander, on that. It's just we haven't focused. We've tried it, but it's not been the best thing for us. And the reason, Alexander, is because in our niche, let's say the network marketing home business niche that my business has existed in up until today, it's changing now. There's not a lot of really high quality blogs to do that sort of stuff on. And I wasn't of the mindset of going to kind of mom and pop guys to pay for that. But there probably is a huge marketplace to do it if you think the viability is there. It makes more sense when you're in a bigger marketplace, being an author on a dating blog or a weight loss blog or a financial blog or something like this. All right, cool. If it was just curiosity, then that's my bad. I just tend to react strongly, AJ the entrepreneur, when I think and smell people going for what I think is like the easiest or the least leveraged piece of information that I shared. And so I always like to train people out of that. So I apologize, my friend, if I did offend. I did nothing special. I did nothing special. I just let the sucker run for a long time. That's all I did. All right, cool. So let's keep this rolling. What do you do? How do you convert that traffic into money? The first piece of that equation is it all has to do with what you do in your email follow-up. And instead of me waxing poetic about this, one thing I want to do is just send you guys to my blog. And I don't know why. There we go. And I want to use a free piece of content that I've had out there for a while, just to kind of remind you guys that when it comes to email marketing, the first and most important thing as it regards to profitability is frequency of sending. So the question of how often should you email your list. And in this article, I go through different scenarios. I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes version. The more often you email, the more money you make. And sort of the optimum frequency is twice per day, or even sometimes 3 per day. And when I tested this back, whatever year this was, this is the difference between a month when I was sending consistently twice a day and a month when I was on vacation and I was too lazy to set up a broadcast sequence of emails to go out in the morning and then in the afternoon while I was away. Of note and very important to this discussion, this is the first time you're hearing me say this particular point, is I'm not talking about setting up an automated autoresponder sequence passively. When I'm speaking about emailing your list twice a day, what I'm speaking about is broadcast, physically sharing something new tomorrow that didn't exist today until you wrote it right now. 2 emails per day to 3, you can make 3 work, even a little bit better, is the optimum frequency when we're speaking about ROI. The defense or the sort of resistance that people will give you, or people tend to give me when I tell this to them, is, when I do that, our open rates go down and all that sort of nonsense and people unsubscribe, blah, 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 blah. So what? It's a good thing. You want people that are not likely to buy to unsubscribe anyway. That's going to keep your deliverability high. Consistently sending to your list will, in and of itself, on a daily basis like that, increase your deliverability because you're setting an expectation of volume from the different ISPs. So you'll see yourself getting more of your emails delivered as well. Now, for the argument of does getting lower open rates because you're sending more frequently, what I've actually noticed is that per email you might get a lower open rate, but overall, if you were to do this for a month and then track your opens and clicks, total opens, unique opens from unique people, compared to if you only sent 1 email per day, or if you sent even less, twice a week or something like this, you will have far more unique people opening your emails if you're sending twice per day. And so your universe of getting response is increased than if you only send a couple times a week. And because of that, you'll have a larger database of emails that'll be getting through, like I said before, and you'll be more profitable. So although it might appear that if you send emails twice per day, your open rates are declining, the reality is the volume of email that you're sending is creating innately more opens from unique individuals than you could any other way. And so it really is the optimum way to get the most amount of money out of what you're doing if you're spending money to build your list and build your credibility, blah, 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 blah. And, just like the Hair Club for Men, I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. This is my original autoresponder, Aweber. It's an old Aweber account. So I have a Pure Leverage account that we use every day today. I have my Get Response Dedicated that we use because it's just all the different weird things we do. But this is the first one I started with. So I'm going here because this has history to it, just like the Hypertracker account. So if I go to my messages and I go to subscribers or broadcasts, you'll see that, I've got 50 pages or 518 times 5. That's how many emails I've sent to this one list in this autoresponder. There are this many lists in this autoresponder. All right. So there are thousands upon thousands of one-off emails that I've written, and I wouldn't do it if it wasn't worth it. So I don't tell you this to make your life harder. I tell you it to put more money in your bank account. Let's go to back in the day when this was a big epiphany and I was rolling hard. I don't like the way that Aweber shows this now because it's a little harder to see subscriber count. So you guys can see here I have 10,000 subscribers. If we go all the way to the end, you'll see that at the very beginning I had 107 subscribers. And even today, this autoresponder hasn't had a new lead put on it in several years in any sort of active way. There's still 65,000 people on there. And look, there's no monstrous response rates or click-through rates on the emails I'm sending here. But these people that are clicking and opening and reading these emails, these 1,000 people right there, for instance, those are my best prospects. Those are the guys that have been with me since 2005, 2006. So I say that to emphasize the lifetime value of your leads is far higher than you believe it is if you're looking at that value in the microscope of a week or a month. Your best prospects will be with you for years and years and years and years and years. And so when we look just at this, like I said, when we look at these numbers, they don't tell the whole story. And so that's why sustainability is important. If we're thinking about 5 years from now, well, some of those 76 customers might be some of my best customers now. They won't remember where they found me, but they might be doing, tens of thousands of dollars with me, of business with me today. So spending money to build your list is a good thing, I guess, is the point of all that. And let's roll back here so I can show you guys. So, January, February, March, April 9th, 07, email in the morning, 9:50 a.m., 5:26 p.m. the same day. Next email, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. I think you guys get the picture, right? So the point here is this is something that I've not just tested, but lived by, literally sustained my life by, right? My livelihood by for many, many years. So frequency is most important when it comes to ROI. How often should you send emails to your list in our market? I'm going to tell you that the optimum frequency is about 2 to 3 times per day. You can reference this article if you want to know a little bit more about that and what you should put into those emails. In a broad sense, I would say think about it like a radio show, so that in the morning you're just kind of shooting the shit. Hey, here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. By the way, go get this thing because it's really cool. And then in the afternoon, You have a commercial break, so you send a short, punchy, classified style ad or solo ad style ad, like we shared before, right? Remember in the first lesson? Boom. Get yourself a bunch of clicks to an offer. Bada bing, bada boom. Make yourself a ton of money. And just rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. All right? That will get you 90% there. Let me come back and see if there's any more questions. Yeah, so Scott, great question. Scott is asking, do we do offline paid traffic strategies as well? Yeah, we've sent postcards in the mail back in the day. I have some sitting here in my office. We've also done direct mail step sequences to our customers. That's also worked. What I would say there, just really quickly on that question, is you got to make sure that you have a back end that can support the cost of doing direct mail. When I did it initially with my tests, I didn't have a back end that could support the expense, but the response was there, if that made sense. It was just price prohibitive kind of for me to do it long term. Today I could do it all day. I just haven't yet. So it's a good question. I don't have any examples I can show you. Yeah, they're just not laying right here around. I could turn on the camera and show you, but it would take some time. I would say, and here's what I would say. If you want to do direct mail, make sure that your front end offer is at least at a price point of $500 to potentially break even, but better is $1,000 if you want to break even. And then on the back end is where you'll make your profit. So you have to have $1,000. I would suggest $1,000 entry point and then grow from there. I'm no expert. I'm just kind of sharing with you my experience. There are people that are far, far better at offline stuff than myself. All right, so let me see if there's any questions there. Man, I've been kind of rolling hard here. Any questions? Any questions on the frequency of email send? Give me a like if there's no questions. If there's comments or questions, please share below. And while you guys do that, I'm going to keep it rolling. So what do you do to get the maximum conversion? How do you convert the most traffic and the money? After frequency, the next most important thing that we want to talk about is the idea that people have different personalities and different ways that they buy optimally. There are different triggers for people to pull out their wallet book and buy. Okay? And here's a few of them. Number one, price variation. All right, so that means some people only buy, let's say, when there's a sale. Some people only buy when there's premium price stuff. Some people only buy physical stuff, online stuff, etc. So what I found, the next biggest breakthrough that I found past just sending emails daily was when I started to vary my offerings. If I would include like a limited sale monthly, hey, you can get this $200 product for $100 for this week only, use this code or use this special link. That brought in a tremendous amount of response from people that hadn't bought or wouldn't buy because they are triggered by a sale. That's what and when they buy. So that's good. That gets us closer to making money. Same thing with if I include a premium price offering, within that month as well. Some people don't buy what they consider to be cheap. Some people only buy big ticket stuff. And so I want to see if I can find one of those as an example for you guys. So you want to vary your offerings so you have products that are priced appropriately for what people are most likely to buy. And that is a huge deal. So yeah, here's one of those ads that, didn't get super close. $98. It cost me $337.50. This is one that I would retest now because I'm better than 50%. I'm looking for one in particular. Here we go. So here's an example of one ad. Let's go here. I'll show you the stats on this one. For a premium price offering. Oh, shucks. Let me go back to like 2001, 2009 maybe. And yeah, let's go back here. 2009. And we'll click analyze once again. It might take forever. Let's go to January. Man, do I have to go back farther than that? Or maybe the database doesn't save, or maybe I have to do it that way. Let's try this one. Maybe it doesn't log that far back because it happened in 11, so it should show. But here's the point. With this one ad, I remember it specifically because I had one sale. The ad itself cost me back then $175. But then I did a premium price offering that was for $997, and I got another sale. So I was about break even from the first sale, or maybe it was just a $97 sale. Yeah, that's probably what it was with $11.98. But then boom, this $1,000 sales comes in, and all of a sudden I'm 527% positive ROI. So getting those big ticket premium offers into the mix is one of those make or break things. It's one of those 99.9 percentile things that will let you be profitable and access traffic and resources that others cannot, only because you're varying your offers. Okay. So that's something that you want to make sure that you do. Let me get back here. And I think there might have been one more question that popped in. I'll check it out, and then we'll keep it rolling. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's feedback from Alexander. Yeah, do your thing, man. There's all sorts of ways to skin the cat when it comes to syndication and getting traffic from other people's circles of influence. So we have frequency, we have buying triggers. People also have different buying modes. That is, some people only buy online. Some people only buy via webinars, or are most likely to buy via a webinar, teleseminar. Some people are more likely to buy over the phone. Some people are more likely to buy via direct mail. And these are just some of the options, but let's say on your list you have a segment of buyers that are great buyers. They buy big ticket stuff, but they don't feel comfortable buying online. Well, if you don't give them a way to buy, let's say over the phone or send in a physical order, you're leaving money on the table, right? Same thing with if you're only doing things via direct mail and you don't have a way for people to buy online. If you were to send me a direct mail package it would be very hard to get me to write out a check, put it in an envelope, fill out an order form, and send it back in. But if you had a link for me to go and buy online, I'd be very likely to do it if I thought it was something interesting. And so these things work in tandem from one way to the other. So you have to think about this too. Am I giving people the opportunity to buy in the way that they're most comfortable buying? Am I giving people the opportunity to give me money in the way that's most comfortable for them? If the answer to that is no, then you're limiting yourself in terms of response. And I'm not saying this from the standpoint that I'm perfect on this. Like, I don't necessarily have a direct mail way for people to buy from me at this point. We don't do that many phone sales, but we do some. But knowing is half the battle. And so if you create all of these ways for people to buy, they're far more likely to buy than if you do not. Okay? And so this is another very important point in terms of how to outproduce from an ROI standpoint the other people in the game. Also the last thing I kind of want to get into here is just the positioning of your offer. If you're promoting an affiliate thing, then, and let me write this down, positioning of your offer. If you're promoting an affiliate thing and your cry or call to action for people to buy is the same as everyone else's, you have no advantage in the marketplace. If you want to win, you have to ask yourself, as an entrepreneur, this is really important. How do entrepreneurs create profits? They create value. How do you create value in an entrepreneurial world? You take something that doesn't exist and you make it exist. And then that's value, right? And so if you can look at an offer, right? And you look at that offer and it's a pretty good offer to solve a person's problem. As an affiliate, let's say we have a blog product and it teaches people blogging. And we know that people want to do blogging because their problem is that they can't get traffic and they think that doing a blogging is going to be their modus operandi for getting free traffic, and it makes sense to them. And if they get free traffic, then they'll build a list. And if they build a list and get free traffic, they can make money and then they don't have to work anymore. Well, if there's a cool training guide on that, if we realize that what they really want is their problem solved, what we want to do to give ourselves the ultimate advantage for everything we put out there in the marketplace is we want to say to ourselves, from in that imaginary place, that place of possibility, that where things don't quite exist yet, how can I take this offer farther? How can I get that guy that's thinking about buying to the place where he's almost realizing that in dream of having a blog that's getting him a ton of free traffic that is producing results for him? And if we can construct an offer on top of the affiliate offer, the product you're promoting, that gets them as close as humanly possible, your likelihood that they're going to buy that is tremendously enhanced. Add value to the equation, and you're going to see yourself winning in that equation a lot more than the next guy. It's just the way that it is. And so if you want immediate firepower, if you don't have your own offer, that's how you do it. You look at what the product is offering, what problem is it solving, but ultimately, once that problem's solved, what's the ultimate desire? And you bridge the gap as far as you possibly can. You don't do it by saying, here's what I have, so here's what I can give them. You do it by saying to yourself, here's their ultimate desire in a perfect world. What would their world look like? All right, in that world, how could I get them there? And this filter has nothing to do with what you have as resources individually at all. Just, is it possible to get them X? And then after you have all the real possibilities that can be achieved in the real world, only then do you start to say to yourself, how can I actually deliver these in a way that makes sense? And if you do that, you will come up with bonus offers that will crush the competition. You will create your own offers that will crush the competition. And so everything you promote will just crush it compared to the next guy. And if you can't add something to the equation to create that additional increase in conversion, should you even be promoting it, right? Entrepreneurs create money because we create value. The cool thing online is we don't have to be the product owner to get paid like the product owner, but we do have to create value if we want to win. People have to know why they're listening to you, what are you going to help them with, and what you can do for them. If they can't answer those questions, they're not going to listen to you. If they can't answer what you're going to do for them, they're not going to buy from you. At least not the way they should or could. Filling that gap is the difference between being good and being exceptional. And that's where mentally I want to leave you guys. What's there is good, but how can I make it exceptional? By using my head. If you email twice a day, you're almost there. If to those emails you add some offer variations, sales, primary offer, premium price offer, you're doing things that most aren't. If you add to that ways that people can buy that's most comfortable for them over the phone, through a webinar, through a teleseminar, sales letter, sales video, direct mail, now you're doing something that almost nobody's doing. And then if you take the time to think through what you offer to the level of understanding that you as an entrepreneur make income, make money, generate revenue because you take what isn't and you make it real. And you bring that to everything you promote, you will win. With that, I'll just say, are there any final questions? And we'll close down this here sermon. Final questions, guys. If there are no final questions, please click like. And I think, let me just make sure, I'm going to go through my notes here and see if there's anything that I left out that I need to make sure that I include. No, we did good. We did good. If you get that and you commit to these things, I mean, it's what we do every day. So I can't, other than, the technical 1, 2, 3, here's how to do some HTML stuff that I don't even know how to do. Other than that, we're there.